Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This time the second game in the best of 3 series between HuK and RedArchon as part of the first round action in Blizzcon 2010. RedArchon spawning as the Red Terran, HuK as the Blue Protoss. The map is Metalopolis, and if we look at the spawn points, it's going to be a very short distance by ground because of the way the two ramps are located here. There's going to be two paths, top and bottom, that these players could employ. So we may see some quick rush, quick aggression by either player. HuK was able to win the last match, Game 1, on Xel'naga Caverns in quite a long game, over 30 minutes. Multiple bases for both players. HuK was able to squeeze the economy of RedArchon and really harass his fourth base with Blink Stalkers. HuK did start with Colossus. As the Vikings came out for RedArchon, he did swap over to Templar and start using the Psionic Storm and Archons as well. So we'll see how this game plays out. HuK did send out this early scout, and just going to start in on these SCVs. So annoying for the Terran player. You basically have to pull off an SCV and continue to swap SCVs as they get low. So we'll see a different SCV coming out to take on this probe next time, as he's already gotten one of the SCVs low. HuK has thrown down, looks like a 13 gateway, so maybe his build order was a little bit off, though these close starting positions may have prompted a little bit early gateway. Maybe he wants to get out that Zealot quicker. So it's still going around RedArchon's base here. So we see another SCV pulled off the line. Put me in, coach. Taking on this probe, and the shields of the probe just going back up to 20 and going to turn around and start in on that SCV right away. HuK's going for this gas, and this is the good gas, the one closer to the Nexus. The other one's just a little bit slower, throwing up a second pylon as well. So this pylon and gateway are going to come out at the exact same time, which could allow this Zealot. It's going to start right away and be chrono boosted out by HuK. So we are going to see some early pressure from the Zealot. HuK being careful not to lose this probe. Again, just took the one shot from the probe, and look at all the SCVs low. One down to 5 health, and a few about half health. So the Marine is going to come and be at the top of the ramp, deny any sort of harassment by this probe. So the probe is going to have to go into retirement here, or looks like the Zealot's going to come out and take the place. It's going to be able to do some harassment, though these two Marines should be able to take down this Zealot with good micro. RedArchon getting up another barracks quickly here, as HuK has decided to throw up the cybernetic score. So no 2-gate from HuK. He does have out two Zealots right now, one on the way and one in the base of RedArchon. Pushing in with this probe, going to do a 2-pronged attack. Probe's just going to be used for some scouting, it looks like, and running around with these Marines, trying not to lose any of them to that Zealot. So a great job by RedArchon there. He was able to preserve that Marine, take down the Zealot. So we have another Zealot coming up into the base. This probe's still alive, going to distract these Marines for the moment, and HuK now taking down these SCVs. So we see one SCV went down to that Zealot. The Zealot is just going to pull these Marines all over the place now. 4 Marines, looks like a tech lab, 2 tech labs going up for RedArchon. So that's going to delay any more production of Marines until those tech labs go up. We have another Zealot on the way somewhere. Looks like a Stalker instead is going to be coming to help and join the Zealot. It looks like the first Zealot was taken down, and this was a second Zealot coming in. Just doing all sorts of harassment on these SCVs. Now a Marauder coming out. Do we have a concussive shell? Not yet. The Stalker is going to get out of there now that it sees this Marauder, as the Marines and the Marauder are going to be able to overpower this Stalker quite easily. We do see a proxy down here. That's great positioning by HuK. A lot of times players will scout this corner, but unless you get on the high ground here, you're not going to be able to see that. Stalker does pop out and is going to be able to take down this SCV. As you see, 3 gates from HuK and Warp Gate Tech almost finished. If we look at the production tab, it looks like Stim and Concussive Shell being researched at the same time. So we'll see if RedArchon waits for these 2 upgrades. Stim will not be finished for another 100 game seconds, so I have a feeling he's going to push in once the Concussive Shell does end, as it's about to end here. These Stalkers are going to see this coming, as RedArchon needs to make sure that he keeps these units alive until the Concussive Shell ends, and it just did. Bring in a few SCVs now, maybe throwing up some bunkers here, or even just trying to absorb some damage. as HuK's warp gate did just finish, and he's going to warp in these stalkers and focus down these marauders. So great timing there on the warp gate. Warp gate finished a little bit faster than if HuK had done a 14 gate. So keep that in mind, those few seconds there when those marauders could have pushed the advantage. HuK was able to use that 13 gate and the faster cybernetic score and get out those stalkers just in time. So now he has his 5 stalkers going against the 2 marines and 2 marauders of RedArchon. He is throwing up a bunker. If he can get that up, he may be safe from this attack. Looks like SCV trying to be sniped off by these stalkers, and now these stalkers are going to have a hard time getting up into the base of RedArchon. HuK's taking advantage of the counterattack, which he started here, and is going to throw down that extra nexus as well. If we look at the harvester count, 30 probes for HuK and only 18 for RedArchon. So you can see RedArchon's trying to mass out a lot of SCVs right now. He did spend a lot on early units, and then he lost a number of SCVs as HuK was trying to harass with the Zealot and the early Stalker there. RedArchon kind of sensing he needs to get up another base, though this is going to leave him vulnerable if HuK decides to push out right now. HuK's getting up a robotics facility to go along with his 3 gates, and looks like he may be just scouting for any sort of hidden bases with this probe. And he may be throwing up some pylons all over the map as well, just to try to deny the movement of RedArchon. We saw in the last game he had pylons all over the map. He was able to see everything RedArchon was doing. And as we can see, he has his army right outside the ramp of RedArchon. He's got the left side all covered here by the Xel'naga tower. And RedArchon is having to force another bunker up. He just does not know what's coming. He doesn't know what's out there. And he's playing really defensive here, throwing up another bunker. If we look at the army tab for both players, 1275 to 700, HuK's advantage. And now pushing down with this SCV, going to see these units down here and not going to be happy about that. These units are standing right in the way of this command center. So there's going to be 400 minerals wasted on this command center unless he can lay it down and move this army out of position. That could have been another 8 marines. It could have been a push. Could have been a starport. Could have gotten some medevacs up. So it looks like he's going to do the orbital command in his base. A smart move there. He could at least throw down some mules on this main mineral line. If you look at the income tab, up to 25 harvesters for Archon and 40 or 39 for HuK, as he does have this first natural up here. He's got decent saturation for now, and looks like he hasn't made much in the way of army, just 2,000 to 1,100, keeping his units at home a little bit in case there's any sort of drop. And just this group right outside is going to split that army in half. RedArchon's majority of his units are going to be up on that ramp and just trying to pull back with these marauders so they don't lose any health to these units while the rest of his buddies there can't attack. HuK doing a great job with these force fields, really bottling up RedArchon's army. He wants to take on these marines and marauders one at a time. Just going to try to use the max range of the stalkers, range of 6, with the marauders having the same range. If you can keep them back there and use these stalkers right out here, you can take on things on that ramp. HuK doesn't have an observer in place, so he can shoot up here if he desires. More energy on these sentries. Anytime Archon tries to move down, HuK's just going to split his force in half and take on the front half. So this command center just pushing out more SCVs for Archon, but he needs to try to land it out here, else he's going to get really far behind. If we look at the income tab, 1,400 to 800 right now. So HuK's going to be able to macro up quite a bit here. If we look at these resources for both players, both keeping very low. The RedArchon doesn't have much of an income to speak of right now. HuK just doing more scouting with these probes, maybe establishing a 3rd base. No, it looks like he's doing the old scouting with this probe and this probe as well. Maybe establishing some proxy pylons all over the map. Looks like we had an attempt to come down here with SCVs as well. So RedArchon knows that he's just bottled up here. He has to get out of his base. He could possibly get up a tank here, and try to push HuK away with siege tech, but it looks like he's going for a reactor instead on the factory, and then he may go for this starport and try to do some drops here, and so that his army is just not split anymore. Anytime he comes down here, the force field's just going to go off and split his army. HuK is at quite the advantage here, just pinching RedArchon on this one base, starting to get mined out a little bit from these minerals. So if he's not able to lift off this command center and find a suitable position for it, he is going to lose this game. HuK just needs to play very conservative here. Keep amassing an army right outside RedArchon's base. It looks like HuK is moving forward with his whole army now, so he may be coming for one last push. If he can get up this ramp and into the base of RedArchon, he can win very shortly. Looks like this orbital command is going to come down, so RedArchon may be trying some sort of push out here. HuK's seeing this. He has backed up. He may allow that to land and just take it down. If he can take down this orbital command, it may be the game. Here come all the SCVs and the Marauders going to try to push out and establish this base. So the Marauders were able to get out. HuK's going to have a good surround though. Stalkers with a good concave already. These Zealots are going to try to force these Marauders to back up. All these force fields going down. The SCVs coming in trying to surround these Stalkers. The Stalkers taking down all the SCVs. The Sentry's doing good work, throwing out these shields against the Marauders. The Zealots just pushing in against these Marauders. The Stalkers are coming in late. They're going to be able to finish everything off as the Medivacs are out of energy, and RedArchon just forced the GG here. So HuK was just able to keep the stranglehold on RedArchon the entire time. Beautiful, beautiful use of the force fields on the ramp. Anytime RedArchon tried to push out against this force, he split the army in half, was able to take out the front half, and he was just never able to get out of his base. So early aggression by HuK, these two starting places did enable that, and he was able to take advantage and win the game in short order. So great game 2 here, great series from these two players, and this is just the first round of this Blizzcon action. I have most of the first through 5th rounds. I'm going to be casting quite a few of them, so look forward to those and look forward to you watching them. See you next time.